Auf Wiedersehen. Guten Tag, Brian. Yeah, I don't speak German, but I may as well have to learn because we are top of Group A with 5 wins out of 5. Scotland came away with a 3-0 win against Cyprus out in Larnaca and have to be, honestly, one of the worst boring 3-0 wins I've ever seen Scotland have. It reminds me of the San Marino game a few years ago where Stephen Fletcher got a hat-trick, but realistically 3 points in the board puts us that little bit closer to qualifying for Germany 2024. Now the big result of the day was realistically Spain putting Cyprus away 7-1, which has definitely made their goal difference look a little bit shaky, which might be the difference between first and second, but we can't really complain with a 3-0 win, although that second half may have just not happened. In fact, the last hour of football may have just not happened when Callum McGregor literally was just on that pitch dominating everything that was coming forward. John McGinn got his final goal there for Scotland with an absolute reverse of the first goal, which was Scott McTominay over to John McGinn, where the first goal was John McGinn over to Scott McTominay. We saw that game end out in the first half hour and then nothing happened for the next hour of football. Full credit though to Callum McGregor. I would say he was man of the match. That wee man ran his absolute heart out, intercepting everything. Barely seen him put a pass wrong, but realistically that game was one that we are probably going to forget. It's not going to go down in the history books as an all-time great. We're going to keep our eyes going forward when we play England on Tuesday in the 150th anniversary match of the first ever international football match, which will be played at Hampden Tuesday at 7:45, where we will be doing a live stream on the channel and we might be having a special guest as well. So make sure to drop a sub if you want to come along and watch that. There's going to be a heavy amount of banter between me and possibility of a special guest. I can't guarantee if they're coming or not yet, but I thought I'd let you know just for a little bit of spice up and a little bit of difference on the channel. So make sure to come along and watch that as well, because we'll be keeping a close eye as well on the Georgia and Norway game, because a draw between the two means that they cannot get the points that we're currently on, which means we're already secured to go to Germany. It'll just be a battle out for first and second place, which we will have to go and play Spain in Sevilla, which is going to be a terrifying game. But even getting a point out there will be massive for us, because we've got to play Norway at home, which I do reckon is going to be a bit more difficult. But with the pool that Man City have, do you really think they're going to get Erling Haaland out there when they've got no chance of qualifying at that point? Probably not. You're going to see a lot like a very second stream team. Arsenal's probably going to do the same with Martin Odegaard, especially with Champions League fixtures either side of that. You're not going to see much of them in them big games because they've got nothing to play for. There's no point risking them. This is all about the Scotland national team, and especially the fact that we've got to play Georgia away, which if this was fantasy football tactics, which this channel is, and if you want to stay up to date with all the tips of that, make sure to drop a sub down below. This channel is very much about FPL this season as well, because it gives me a lot more content to produce for you guys. So don't let me get away with that one too quickly. You will be getting the best tips possible down here. That is a game to target, and by targeting the game, it means you're going to be playing your best players to get any sort of point from that game. And if Scotland get a point against, or even 3 points against Georgia, which we've seen that Spain absolutely battered them today, that will secure us at top of the group, depending on how the result with Spain goes. But either way, Scotland just qualifying, who gives a damn? Just to go to Germany, be involved is all we actually hope for. We could finish with just 1 point in the group. That's absolutely perfect for us. So we're really just going to be targeting that game. Get your flights booked and going out. But realistically, let's not dampen the party mood right now. We are 15 points out of a maximum of 15. We've still only conceded 1 goal, which is to the absolute freak machine Viking that is Erling Haaland, and that's the only person to score a goal against a Scotland defence that has been lined up perfectly. In terms of tonight's game though, I have to really give a little bit of criticism in the second half. It was treated much more like a training exercise, and granted, the game was won. You don't want to be risking injury, you don't want to be pushing yourself too far. There's a little bit of knocks and niggles going about there, but the Cyprus players just weren't up for it. They just gave up and thought, bugger it, what's the point? And I really saw that from the Scotland boys as well, which gave me a little bit of doubt that you're not going to do that in the big games. I know you're going to be head focused, but going forward, like having maybe a goal or two in the second half would have lightened up things. But a bit more. You realistically, you were looking around and you saw all the fans, and even they were just clapping away, just thinking, when the fuck can I go to the pub? When can we go and enjoy this? And they're just bored. Someone said in the chat there, count as many flags as you got, and we got to like 70 odd, and that was only from what we were visibly able to see. It was an absolute home game for the Tartan Army out there enjoying their holidays, probably going back now to the all-inclusive hotels and drinking themselves stupid that were 15 from 15. But it was just the way the second half played out. It just didn't seem like the most energetic and fulfilling game that we're ever going to see Scotland play. It's not going to go one down the history books I've already mentioned. I'm delighted with the result, don't get me wrong, but I'm tired. It was a bit of a slog to get through that second half, especially while streaming and keeping me going. If it wasn't for the chat, so shout out to everyone in the chat tonight, keeping the conversation going, keeping the energy going. It would have been a very boring game, so thank you to everyone who did tune in. It was a fantastic game to actually have you guys chat away about and got opinions from everything else, but realistically, that second half was abysmal and boring. But we look forward to Tuesday, where we do take on England, the owl enemy, in a very important match. It might not be as important as our next game against Spain, but in terms of pride, it does matter. But Scott McTominay, this absolute campaign has been phenomenal. The fact that he's playing further up the pitch really shows that Eric Ten Hag really has to maybe have an adjustment to maybe where they're going to be playing him. But Scott McTominay for Scotland has played centre back, CDM, centre mid, and now centre attacking mid. He was playing on the right mid as well tonight. The guy is so versatile and underutilised at Man United, and maybe Eric Ten Hag needs to have a look at that, because he has been phenomenal with us, and not just against the teams you expect to beat like Georgia and Cyprus. He's doing it against your Martin Odegaards and your Erling Haalands and your Rodris as well, who still in my opinion is a pathetic human being. If you lose to Scotland, you can't use it as an excuse to the fact that, oh, the grass was too wet. We're not going to get on with that. You're a bit pathetic human. Yeah, you won a treble, but that's definitely going to be a dampener on your record there, pal. But getting beside the point, tonight was it was a good result, but the most boring way I've ever watched Scotland play football. Angus Gunn had to deal with about maybe 3 shots total that were all bang on right down the middle for him, so he really didn't have to test himself that much. But other than that, like, Callum McGregor just ran that midfield. He is an absolute machine. Nobody can even get near him. He was making interception after interception, as well as making tackles and fantastic passes, and the boy just does not stop running. He is so under, like, I don't even know the specific word for it. He's just underappreciated, but I don't know if that's just because of his Celtic connections, the way Scott Brown was. But the boy just is amazing. He does not stop running. And it's one thing I'm very proud of. The fact is, like, a lot of the Celtic boys that have come up and played for Scotland, they're the ones that are trying the hardest. Like Billy Gilmore tonight, yeah, he's a great talent, and he's always been, the game against England in the Euros, he absolutely dominated. But tonight, there wasn't much about him, which is very surprising to see how good he's been for Brighton recently. He made Team of the Week last week. I'd like to see a little bit more of him, especially against England, when he's going to be playing some of his teammates and stuff. Actually, maybe not. I don't think there's any Brighton players that made the England squad, but he's going to be playing players that he plays week in, week out, and it's a good opportunity for showing what he's all about and actually get stuck in there. So hopefully you can see a little bit more from Billy Gilmore on Tuesday. But other than that, like, realistically, 3-0 against Cyprus, like, it's a team that we normally would slip up against or have a mistake, but tonight's tonight. Like, we're happy enough with that result. We're not going to whinge about it. It's fantastic. 3 points on the board, 5 from 5. Can't complain. Seems so strange, the fact is, like, even though we're sitting to this far top of the group, Spain still have 2 games in hand against us, and the fact that Georgia and Norway as well, and Cyprus all have games as well to play. Cyprus are obviously out of the running now. They have no hope, and he's looking at the scoreboard here as well. A draw between Georgia and Norway secures it for us. So it's going to be a big day on Tuesday. So if you do want to come around and stick with the live stream, please make sure to drop a sub down below. We're going to be having a special guest hopefully on the channel while we do that. But other than that, 3-0 to the Tartan Army. Going to be buzzing about that. Great weekend of football ahead. Hopefully, actually looking forward to the rugby. We play South Africa on Sunday, because that's going to be a big game as well. Not a massive rugby fan, but what's the Six Nations in the World Cup, especially when Scotland's doing well in it. It's good to see the fact that we've won the last 3 Calcutta Cups as well, because it's always good to beat England in something. That's all going to be for today, guys. If you are new around here, please make sure to drop a sub down below. I will see you on Tuesday for the next live stream, where we take on the owl enemy, which is England. I will see you then. Goodbye.